I didn't really see someone who was necessarily out of shape. What I saw was a guy whose life is busy and chaotic. Why do we wait for a crisis before we finally take our health seriously? My name is Andy, and after 14 years in the military, I now spend my time as a personal trainer and a first aid CPR instructor. You would assume that with my background, I'd have health all figured out. But the truth is, I'm not just another trainer. I'm a guy who had to use my own life-saving protocols to fix a body that I was slowly killing. I was great at crisis discipline, but I was failing at the quiet, everyday habits that actually matter for the long haul. That's how I ended up 30 pounds overweight with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I had to stop listening to the gym bro garbage and start treating my health like the life or death mission it actually is. I'm here because I found the way out, and I want to help you build a life that actually lasts into your 80s and beyond. So if you're done waiting for a wake-up call and you're ready to actually take the lead of your life, let's get into today's topic. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's Super Bowl weekend, and it is absolutely freezing outside. Like, by far the coldest day I've experienced in a long time. So I'm kind of happy that I get to just record this right now because it keeps me inside and feeling warm. But I was at the store earlier, grabbing a few things before the weekend really kicked into gear. And I saw something in the parking lot that kind of just made me stop and really look at how we're living. I think we can all relate to this too. You know, whether you are this person yourself or you have someone close to you who's living this lifestyle right now. I saw this guy, I don't know, probably in his late 30s, early 40s, and he was trying to lift a 40-pound bag of dog food into the back of his SUV. And you could just see the weight of his entire week just by looking at his car. He had a stroller folded up in the back. He had empty stained, coffee cups in the cup holders. He had a few stray plastic dinosaurs on the floor, clearly from kids who just make a mess of everything. And he just looked like a guy who is in the middle of 1,000 different responsibilities. He was rushing, just trying to get the chore done so that he could get on to the next thing in his life. As he leaned over to grab that bag directly from the ground, you could see his whole body essentially fighting the movement. His lower back, was rounded in this tight, vulnerable looking curve. There were veins that were thick that were straining from his neck, and his knees were beginning to cave into each other. He had this look on his face, not just that the bag was heavy, but a look of genuine anxiety, like he was just waiting for his body to give out on him. I looked at him and I didn't really see someone who was necessarily out of shape. What I saw was a guy whose life is busy and chaotic. He's showing up for his family. He's showing up for his job. But his frame, his foundation, is beginning to send him these loud warning signals that he's honestly just too busy or overwhelmed to hear. It made me think, what if we could just take that weight off his shoulders? What if he could just lift that bag and instead of that look of fear or, pain, he had a smile on his face because he felt strong and independent. Think about how much calmer his day would be if his body didn't feel like a ticking time bomb. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys today about, the actual connections in the backbone that are trying to hold you together while you're living your busy lives. Because if the skeleton of your body is misaligned, or is weak, or is brittle, it doesn't matter how strong your muscles are. Your entire system is going to eventually buckle from underneath you. That guy's back wasn't just a lack of muscle. It was a failure of his processes. Now, these are essentially the anchors of your body. If you were to look at a bone, they aren't these smooth, polished sticks we've seen in movies. They are covered in these jagged bumps, these deep ridges, and these solid lumps. And those are there for a very specific reason, so that your muscles have something to grab onto. Because your muscles are like high tension cables, and they need a solid, gritty place to look into so that they can actually move your body. The issue for most of us is that we've stopped giving our bodies a reason to keep those anchors strong. When we spend our lives, hunched over a steering wheel, for example, during a long commute, or we're collapsed into an office chair for 8 hours a day, our bodies start to let those connections go. They get smooth. They get soft. They lose that grit. They lose that grip. And then on a random Sunday morning, when you try to lift that heavy bag of dog food, your muscles go to pull on those soft anchors, but the problem is your bone can no longer handle the sudden tension. This is why so many of us feel that sharp, stinging pain in our elbows when we're just carrying grocery bags from the car. It's your epicondyles, those bony bumps on your elbow. They're screaming because they're being pulled right out of their seat. You reach for the bag, your muscle fires, and the bone just isn't strong enough to hold that anchor anymore. Most people try to rub the muscle, right? But that's not going to fix your foundation. You need to reinforce the anchor. One way you can do this, during your busy day when you're trying to drive from point A to point B, or, you're sitting from meeting to meeting, try isometric squeezes. You can actually fix this without adding another task to your list. Just grab your steering wheel or even a rolled up towel and squeeze it as hard as you can for about 30 seconds. Don't move your wrist. Just hold the squeeze. That constant heavy pressure tells your body to send more minerals to that anchor at the elbow. It's like pouring fresh, solid concrete around a loose bolt. If you do that a few times a day, you'll find that carrying those bags feels lighter and that the stinging pain starts to fade away. It's the same thing, when we're walking. You see it everywhere. People where every time they take a step, their hip kind of dips, or their whole upper body has to sway just to stay balanced. We tell ourselves we're exhausted or tired, but that's usually a failure of the greater trochanter. That's the big solid bump that you feel on the side of your hips. It's a massive power anchor where your glute muscle actually hooks into. And when you sit on your glutes all day, we are essentially unplugging the power. The anchor gets soft from the lack of use, and the glutes don't have anything solid to pull against. It's important to understand this because things like, the condyle at the knee or the tubercle at the shoulder are the reason your joints either feel solid and secure or loose and painful. If your shoulder feels crunchy when you reach back to grab a kid's toy off the floor of the car, it's usually because those anchors have smoothed out and your muscles are beginning to slip. You have to be the one to manage these anchors. If your hips feel unstable, try doing the balance trick, for example. Tonight, when you're brushing your teeth, stand on one leg. It forces your glutes to plug back into that hip anchor and keep your frame level. It's a 2-minute habit that takes away that wobble and gives you back that steady, balance, the confident stride in the future. Imagine how much better that guy in the parking lot would be if he could just walk to his car with that kind of stability. The biggest anchors you own, though, are the ones that you can feel if you reach your hand behind you and you run it down the back of the center of your back. Those little bumps that you feel under your skin are the spinous processes. They are the handles for the deeper muscles that keep you standing upright. And they are all attached to the most important part of your frame, the vertebrae, or, the backbone, the spine. This isn't just one long bone. It's a stack of 24 pieces that house your entire electrical system, which is your spinal cord. This is the most dangerous job in the human body, by the way. It's like basically the bodyguard for your wires that connect your brain to your legs. If that spine fails, the signal gets cut off. When someone throws their back out just by reaching for a sock, that is what we call a system override. Your body is locking the whole machine down to protect the wires because the spine has lost its integrity. It's a terrifying, anxious feeling being stuck on the floor, unable to move, feeling like your body has betrayed you. Your spinal health is the single biggest predictor of whether you'll be independent or needing help as you age. It's the difference between being the person who can still go for a hike with their grandkids or the person who is trapped in their living room chair because they can't trust their own back anymore. We can look at this backbone in 3 main sections. At the top, you've got your cervical spine and your neck. These first 7 bones are the lightweight bones built for speed and vision. They allow you to turn your head to check your blind spot or look down at your cell phone. Because we live in an age of smartphones, we are constantly folding these 7 bones for several hours a day. I was standing in the checkout line this morning, and every single person in front of me was literally buried in their phones. Their heads were tilted forward at a sharp angle. Your head weighs about 12 pounds, by the way. It's like carrying an actual bowling ball. When it's stacked perfectly over your shoulders, your spine can handle this pretty easy. But for every inch that you tilt your head forward to look at a text message, you essentially double that weight. So by the time you're looking at your phone in line, your neck is trying to hold up 60 pounds of pressure. You are redlining your neck every single day until the bone starts to change shape. You aren't just stiff. You are literally crushing the conduit of your whole entire life. Here's a quick little tip to fix this. Stop bringing your face to the world. Bring the world to your face. When you are on your phone, bring it to eye level. Try the double chin lift. Gently tuck your chin in and make yourself look like stupid for a second. All right? It's okay to look stupid. And imagine a string pulling the back of your head towards the sky. It unwedges those 7 neck bones and it lets the wires finally breathe. If you do that for 30 seconds every time you finish sending a text message, you will start to feel that the tension in your jaw and your temples just start to melt away. This is an issue we tend to just call getting older, but it's actually just a lack of maintenance on the spine. As you move down from the neck, the stakes start to get higher, and you eventually hit the thoracic spine. These are the 12 bones in your upper and middle back, right behind the rib cage. These bones are designed to protect your heart and your lungs, but they are also meant to rotate. It's where your twist comes from. But because almost all of us sit in, bucket seats or office chairs, our mid-backs have become frozen. We've become a generation of people with stone backs. Have you seen that person at the store who tries to look something on, the top of a shelf behind them? And they have to literally turn their entire body. They look like a statue because their own mid-back won't move. That's a frozen mid-back. When that mid-back freezes, your body has to compensate in other ways. So it tries to twist through your neck area or your lower back instead. But those sections weren't built for twisting. This is why mid-back stiffness is the real cause of almost all shoulder and lower back pain. If your mid-back won't move, your ribs cave into your heart, you can't breathe deeply, and your backbone starts to buckle. You need to de-ice the mid-back. Throughout your busy day, do yourself a favor and stand in a doorway. Grab the frame with one hand and slowly rotate your body away. You are trying to feel those 12 vertebrae actually move. And if you do this for a minute, you'll start to notice that your lower back pain starts to disappear because the middle of your back is finally doing its job. Think about the calmness that guy in the parking lot would have felt if his back stopped screaming at him every time he moved. This brings us down to the heavy lifters, which is our lumbar spine. Those are your 5 bones of the lower back. They are the biggest, thickest bones because they are the foundation. They support almost all of your body weight and are built for stability. Not speed, stability. This is where we usually break because we ask our lower back to do the twisting work that the mid-back was supposed to do. But the spine doesn't end there. It plugs into the sacrum, the triangular bone that hooks into your spine, into your hips. And at the very bottom, you then have the coccyx, which is your tailbone. Most people ignore the sacrum until, they fall or they sit down too hard, but it's actually the base plate of your entire structure. When you are sitting in traffic or at your desk, most of us slump back onto our tailbones. We are literally sitting on our coccyx, which is basically jamming your entire system, and it's creating radiating pain throughout the body. So to help avoid this, try sitting on your actual sit bones. It's the 2 hard points at the bottom of your pelvis. If you rock your pelvis forward just about an inch, it automatically unjams the base and it lets your backbone stack correctly. It's a 10-second fix that takes away that constant nagging ache and replaces it with a sense of ease. But even if you have the stack right, you need to know what keeps these bones from grinding each other into dust. You have intervertebral discs between every single bone. Think of these as the shock absorbers of your body. They are made of tough cartilage, and their only job is to basically be the suspension of your life. But these discs don't have blood supply. They can't just pull nutrients from your blood like a muscle can. The only way they stay healthy is through a process called imbibition. When you move, you squeeze the disc like a sponge, which is basically pushing out the waste. And when you release, it pulls in fresh fluid. Movement is the pump that keeps your shock absorbers alive. If you sit still for 8 hours a day, you are squishing the disc without any pumping action. That disc dries out and gets brittle. That's a herniated disc. It's not a disease, it's a maintenance failure. You drove your car on flat tires for 10 years, and now the rims are bent. If you want to take the anxiety out of moving, then you have to pump the suspension. Every 30 minutes you're sitting, you should be doing 30 seconds of movement. That can be as simple as standing up and just wiggling, right? Move your spine in every direction. This is how you water those discs. It's the difference between having bouncy shock absorbers and having flat tires in your back. When you zoom out and you look at this stack from the side, you start to see the way we were designed to handle gravity. The S-curve. Your spine isn't a straight vertical pole. It's a spring. It has the curve at the neck, the mid-back, and the lower back. This curve allows your body to absorb 10 times more force than a straight spine ever could. A straight line is rigid and brittle. It snaps. But an S-curve is built to give bounce back, springy. That is what we call neutral spine. It's the golden position for human movement. When your spine is in that perfect S-curve, the weight is distributed evenly across the bones, and your muscles don't have to fight to keep you upright. The structure is already doing the work. We've all seen people who have lost their spring. They have that flat back or they have a heavy hunch. Every step they take jars their brain because they aren't stacked correctly. Posture has nothing to do with being pretty or looking pretty. It's about being efficient. If you want to test how efficient you are, try the wall check. Stand with your back against the wall. Your heels, butt, shoulder blades, and the back of your head should all touch. If you have to strain to do that, you've lost your S-curve. So practice finding that stack for a minute a day so that you can find it when you're loading that heavy bag into the car. Unfortunately, we live in a world designed to make us soft. We have elevators, cars, grocery delivery. Everything in the modern world is essentially telling your body to go to sleep. Because we sit so much and move so little, our bodies start to lose that hardware. It's almost like we're floating through our lives without any real stress on our frames. I call this a digital microgravity. Because we sit so much, our bodies literally think there's no gravity. It's just like astronauts. Our bones begin to dissolve. The result is that we are becoming soft targets. We're becoming the people who break a wrist tripping on a rug or the person who can't get up out of a chair without needing assistance. I need you to decide today that you're going to be the hard target, not a soft one. I want you to walk through the world with the mindset that your skeleton is a suit of armor that you are constantly trying to make thicker and stronger. Every time you feel the weight of the world, whether it's carrying a heavy box, picking up a bag of salt for the driveway, picking up that bag of dog food, or hitting a squat in the gym, I want you to smile. Because at that moment, you are making a deposit. You are giving yourself a hardware upgrade that no pill, no doctor can give you. You aren't just exercising, you are funding your future freedom. Think back to that guy at the store with the bag of dog food. That struggle and that loss of control is the default setting for a human who does not move. But if you take the science that I'm giving you, you can actually live in a way that changes your destiny. You can be the 80-year-old who is still dangerous because your frame is intact. You can be the person who falls down, laughs, and gets back up because your bones were built to handle it. Don't let the demolition crew win today. Go out there and give your body a reason to work. Lift something heavy. Remind your body that you are still the boss of this house. Protect the backbone and keep that S-curve bouncing. Next time, we're finally going to get into the joints and the fluids that keep them moving and the ligaments that keep your whole body together. Stay active, stay dense, and keep moving.